Director of the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Centre at the Consulate General of India, Durban, Dr. Chaitanya Prakash Yogi, colleagues Ms. Cheryl Banwarilal, Ms. Kavita Solanki, Mr. Piyush Khandelwal, Dr. Amit M. Pant, Mr. Yogesh Jadhav, Swati Khandelwal, and Ms. Vijaya Kota. Welcome, guests and online members, for today's fifth day of Heritage Week of India celebrations. Without further ado, I'd like to call upon my esteemed colleague, Ms. Kavita Solanki, teacher of Indian culture at SVCC Durban, for her song rendition.
Thank you, Shishti ji. Namaskar, everyone. It's a beautiful song. In this song, they are explaining the meaning of Omkara and Om. ओमकार जप लेना, यह जीवन बनाना, यह जीवन ओमकारा, यह जीवन ओमकारा, यह आकार है शब्द का मूल, उकार मध्य स्थान, मकार अंत है, यह जीवन ओमकारा, यह जागृत है आकार रूपी, स्वप्न वैचित्र उकार, सुषुप्त सार मकार, यह जीवन ओमकारा, यह उकार है पर ब्रह्म रूप, आकार सृष्टि का, उकार स्थिति का, मकार प्रलय का, यह जीवन ओमकारा, यह जीवन है शब्द तरंग, देश काल रूप, नाम रूप भेद, यह जीवन ओमकारा, यह उकार है देशातीत, काल से अतीत, स्वरूप अव्यक्त, यह जीवन ओमकारा, यह उकार है मंत्र का मूल, अजप साधन का, जीवन सार्थकता, यह जीवन ओमकारा, ओमकार जप लेना, यह जीवन बनाना, यह जीवन ओमकारा, यह जीवन ओमकारा. थैंक यू, धन्यवाद.
Thank you so much, Kavita ji, for the beautiful song. Our first guest speaker is Dr. Amit Pant, a pharmaceutical researcher at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, Durban, South Africa. He will be speaking on his state his state, which is Meghalaya, for his heritage and legacy.
Thank you, Srishti ji, for such a nice introduction. And first of all, I would like to thank Dr. CP Yogi ji and their team for the continuous efforts. However, uh, and indeed, this is a great pleasure to represent State Meghalaya in the India Heritage Week 2020. So, Meghalaya is basically the word from Sanskrit which indicate the abode of clouds, the Badalo ka ghar. This is really a beautiful name which is coined by Dr. C.P. Chatterjee, who was a professor of geography at University of Calcutta, and he was awarded with Padma Bhushan. So he coined this name of the state Meghalaya. However, if you consider Meghalaya, the name of state is not indicating any religion, any caste, or any tribes. But because of the natural beauty, the name has been coined. Initially, that was restricted and resisted, but it is now well accepted and is more common in the communication. Apart from that, just certain kind of historical aspect which are very important with respect to Meghalaya. It has archaeological interest where people have lived since Neolithic era, and the majorly three tribes are there, like Khasi, Garo, and Jayantika. So initially they have their own kingdom in these regions, which is a very hill region in the Meghalaya. And before the British administration take rule of this territory, they are ruling independently in these majorly three tribes. Later on, from 1835, Meghalaya got uh, accommodated with Assam. However, British term Meghalaya as a Scotland of East because of its nature, because of the forest, greenery, and snow. They term Meghalaya as Scotland of East. Now, in 1905 to 1970, there are many reorganization, restructuring of Meghalaya state, which has been contributed with either in the Assam or either in the Bengal. But in 1970, Meghalaya was enjoyed the autonomous status, while finally in 1972, it has been declared as an independent state. However, the Shillong is capital of Meghalaya, which is the largest city, the financial and educational hub of Meghalaya. And currently it comprises 11 districts, and population is almost more than 3.2 million. Meghalaya, which is a state called the wettest region of India because of high rainfall in this region, and almost recorded more than 1200 mm of rain every year. About 70% of state is under forest land, and that's why there are very biodiversity in mammals, birds, and plants which are occupied in this forest region. Talking about the people which are there in the Meghalaya, the people of Meghalaya are known to be hospitable, cheerful, and friendly. The tribe peoples make up the majority of Meghalaya population, majorly three tribal peoples like Khasis, Garos, and Jayantiyas. So all these three tribes have their own tradition, own cultures, dressings, as well as different languages. So these Meghalaya compromises of diversity, but still have the unity. And special aspect of Meghalaya which need to be highlighted is they have population growth index of a percentage of more than 27%, and which is the highest decimal population growth among all the seven system states. And interestingly, the sex ratio in the Meghalaya, it is far higher than the national average of 940. So the per thousand, the ratio of women per thousand male is higher as compared to the national average. And this is related with the certain traditional and cultural aspect because women who are ruling the society in the Meghalaya, however, they oftenly follows the matrilineal system till date, which is like the women they are responsible for the lineage of their inheritance, and most oftenly the youngest woman or youngest daughter of the family get inherited with the all property, and she is responsible to take care for the aged parents as well as unmarried siblings in the family. So this is one thing which is really appreciable, that they are still uh, empowering the woman in their society, and which is in fact the need, and all are working through that. So talking about the cultural aspect and the festivals among the Meghalaya region, there are many festivals which are celebrated across different tribes. So, as for example, Khasis, there is a dance which is the central to the culture of their life. Most oftenly, they perform their dances in the villages or either in the streets, and they have conglomerate raids called Hima. So, as similar to the Khasis, like Jayantiyas have their different kind of festival, and they are integral to the culture of their people. And for Garos, festivals sustain their cultural heritage, and they often dedicate the religious events, nature and season, as well as community event such as Zoom cultivation. These are certain major kind of festivals which are related to Meghalayan major tribes, Khasis, uh, then Jayantika and Garo. And specifically, if you consider the tourism in Meghalaya, so initially till 1955, there was a permit which is required to enter into the Meghalaya region. But later on, with the restriction has been removed and it is open for tourism. And as I mentioned, it is called as a Scotland of East, and because of the similarity of highland, fog, and greenery, this is having the same kind of environmental similarities. So most important, because of the 70% land in Meghalaya is constituted by forest. This region is occupied or is termed as mostly the ecotourism circuit in India. Meghalaya has two national parks and three wildlife sanctuaries. Meghalaya also offers many adventure tourism opportunities in the form of mountaineering, rock climbing, trekking, and caving. Certain water sports are also available in Meghalaya. Cherrapunji, the name most oftenly heard, is there in the Meghalaya and is a tourist attraction. So this is a really beautiful state of eastern India, and there are certain kind of financial, economical, educational developments. Um, Hope everyone once visit in India from outside or the foreigners, they should visit the beauty of nature in Meghalaya. Once again, I would like to thank you all. Dhanyavad, and specifically in Meghalayan language is Lumbi. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe in this COVID pandemic.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amit Pant, for that very insightful remarks on Meghalaya. We would now be playing a short video on Meghalaya, also known as the Abode of Clouds. Thank you. For her heritage and legacy on the state of Assam, I'd like to introduce our next guest speaker, Ms. Swati Khandalwal, who is a finance specialist, a homemaker, and a mother. based in Durban.
Thank you, Shrishti ji. I would firstly like to thank Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center for giving me this opportunity to share my views on Assam. I hope I'm able to do it justice. Assam is a state in northeast portion of India. When I think of Assam, I'm filled with a vision of lush green tea fields, the powerful Kamakhya temple, the colorful Bihu festival, the soulful voice of Bhupen Hazarika, the glow of Assam silk, and the legends of the Ahom dynasty. Assam has a huge green cover and enjoys high rainfall. Due to this, the summer temperatures go to a maximum of 35-38 degrees, and winters is a minimum 6 to 8 degrees. Geographically speaking, the Brahmaputra River runs along the entire length of Assam, aiding it with lower temperatures. Just to tell you a bit about the history. During the times of Mahabharata, Assam was part of a region called Kamarupa, which extended up to Bhutan and Bangladesh. They had fought with the Kauravas in the Battle of Kurukshetra. Assam has since seen many dynasties, most notable being the Ahom dynasty, which reigned around the 13th century. Ahom people came from Myanmar or Burma and conquered the local rulers of Assam region. Despite numerous invasions, mostly by the Muslim rulers, no Western power ruled Assam until the arrival of the British. Though the Mughals made 17 attempts to invade, they were never successful. The most famous battle was the Battle of Saraighat. It was a naval battle fought in 1671 between the Mughals and the Ahom kingdom on the Brahmaputra River. Although weaker, the Ahom army defeated the Mughals by brilliant use of the terrain, clever diplomatic negotiations to buy time, guerrilla tactics, psychological warfare, military intelligence, and by exploiting the sole weakness of the Mughal forces, its navy. Due to much internal conflict during the 18th century, the rulers then asked assistance from Calcutta, which was under British rule, therefore incorporating Assam in the British India. Assam saw many battles from invading forces of Myanmar and Japanese and has always held strong. This led to the development of a much vibrant culture. It is a fusion of Indo-Burmese, Mongolian, and Aryan influences. The state has a large number of tribes, each unique in its tradition, culture, dress, and exotic way of life. Bihu is the most important festival of Assam. It is celebrated 3 different times of the year, but the most famous and lavish celebration happens during Rangali Bihu, which happens around mid-April, and is also their New Year. It is celebrated by everyone, and the entire state goes into a festive mode and is a must-visit time for tourists. The most famous silk of this region is Muga silk, which is golden in color. Weaving of silk and traditional clothes is a popular cottage industry across the entire state, and it generates significant amount of employment. Nearly every Assamese household that you see will, irrespective of their caste, creed, and social status, will have at least one loom. The other famous industries in Assam is the Assamese, which supplies nearly half of India's tea needs, and we Indians drink a lot of tea. It is exclusive to the state of Assam. Rice and jute are the other big agricultural products. The first oil in Asia was ever discovered in Assam, and currently Assam supplies 25% of India's petroleum needs. Assam houses 2 World Heritage Sites, the Kaziranga National Park and the Manas Wildlife Sanctuary. Kaziranga is home to the one-horned rhino, similar to the white-horned rhino in South Africa. Assam holds 2/3 of the Indian one-horned rhino population, and it was nearly going extinct, but it has increased its population many folds now. The other famous tourist destinations are the Kamakhya temple, which is one of the Shakti Peeths. It holds an annual festival, which is quite unique. It's called Ambubachi Mela, which happens around mid-June and for 4 days. It is believed that the presiding goddess of the temple, Mother Shakti, goes through her annual cycle of menstruation during this period, and hence the festival. Majuli Island, it's another famous tourist destination because it is the largest river island as recorded in the Guinness World Book of Records. Asia's oldest amphitheater, Ranghar, is located in Sibsagar in Assam, which dates back to the 17th century, where buffalo fights, wrestling, other games used to take place. Assam also has India's longest bridge. It's named as Bhupen Hazarika Bridge, spanning 9.15 kilometers. It is also a connector of northeast India to the rest of the India via the Siliguri corridor. The most famous people of Assam, you would have heard of the soulful voice of Bhupen Hazarika. He is very well-known singer. Actor Seema Biswas is very popular among Bollywood and other film industries across India. Hima Das, a young athlete, she holds the national record in 400 meter sprints. This is to just name a few of the notable achievements of Assam. I can go on, but the time is very limited. I just hope I've managed to give a snapshot of what Assam means to India and have inspired you all to travel there sometime in the future. Thank you all for watching and listening to me. I wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Swati ji, on your very insightful remarks on the state of Assam. Indeed, chai is very important to everybody, and Assam is one of the great states that contributes to this. We will now be playing a short video on the state of Assam.
Once you visit Assam, it stays with you forever.
Thank you. Our next speaker to talk on her state of Telangana is Miss Vijaya Kota. She is an Eastern language teacher here at the schools in Durban. Madam Vijay also specializes in the language of Telugu.
Namaskaram to everyone. I am Vijaya Kotta, living in Durban, formerly from Hyderabad, Telangana state. I am working as an Eastern language Telugu teacher. It is a great honor for me to speak about my state of Telangana. I am going to share my experiences and our culture of Telangana. Hyderabad is the capital city of Telangana and also one of the major city and business hub in India. The Telangana state is in South India. Telangana used to be a part of Andhra Pradesh before 2nd June 2014. Telangana state was formed on 2nd June 2014. Our first and current Chief Minister is Mr. Kalvakuntla Chandrasekhar Rao. Our main language is Telugu and second language is Urdu. We do have other linguistic groups who are living in Telangana. Hi-Tech City is the main IT hub in biotechnology in Hyderabad. Some of our famous and historical places are Charminar, Golconda, Vangari Forts, Ramoji Film City, Birla Science Museum, Hussain Sagar, and Thousand Pillar Temple in Warangal, etc. Our Telugu New Year starts Ugadi Festival. Some of our festivals are Bonalu, which means they carry the pot on the head. And Batakamma, this Batakamma festival is Navaratri times we celebrate. And Dasara, Deepavali, Sankranti, Ramazan, and so on. Some of our famous temples in Telangana Mahankali temple in Secunderabad, Ramappa and Thousand Pillars temple in Warangal, Sri Rajarajeshwari temple in Vemulavada, Sita Ramachandra Swami temple in Bhadrachalam. Our Hyderabadi biryani is famous worldwide. Hyderabad is also famous for pearls. Some people describe Hyderabad in 3 words: Sherwani, biryani, or Gandipet ka pani. Our famous crops are rice, maize, castor, groundnuts. As I am from Telugu community, we also belongs to Andhra Mahasabha of South Africa. We are celebrating 89th year anniversary of Andhra Mahasabha of South Africa. I am senior Telugu teacher in Andhra Mahasabha Telugu Academy in Durban. Ma Telugu talliki malle pudanda, ma kanna talliki mangalaratulu. Ma Telugu talliki malle pudanda, ma kanna talliki mangalaratulu. Jai Telugu Talli. Thank you for for you very much for giving me this opportunity to explain about my state of Telangana. Jai Telangana, Jai Telangana. Dhanyavadamu.
Thank you so much, Vijayaji, for that beautiful insight on the state of Telangana. We will now be showing a short video on the state of Telangana.
India is the land of remarkable diversity, where it is impossible to extricate the beauty of Telangana. Seen across the Dakkani plains lies Telangana, the gateway to South India. Hyderabad, the capital city, blooming into modernity, nurtured by royalty, presents an asserting silhouette. Its steeply upthrust labyrinth of minarets and terraces, pavilions, domes and arches, glinting like the facets of a huge uncut diamond. The bustling city takes pride in its cosmopolitan culture and ode to its bygone royal era. Gulmohar-filled air and a wide array of Dakkani cuisine untangles the mind and brings about heavenly pleasures. The friendly locals and the pluralistic festive glories paint a canvas of celebration in your eyes. The majestic forts of Telangana, replete with tales of bravery of different dynasties. Vibrant arts and crafts are the remarkable treasures of human creativity built over millennia. Mesmerizing cascade of waterfalls eclipse the wilderness of the forest, makes you sway with the flow of the tranquil rivers engrossed in the pristine nature. A land where the beauty of nature and the spirit of culture gives you magical vibes. Visit Telangana for all reasons and all seasons.
Our next speaker to talk on his heritage and legacy of the state of Nagaland is Mr. Yogesh Jadhav, a technical manager at the Continental Compounders in Durban.
Hello everybody. Presenting state is Nagaland. Focusing on main things in Nagaland state. Nagaland is a state of northern India. It is bordered by state of Assam and Manipur. The capital of Nagaland is Kohima. The largest city is Dimapur. It is very coldest atmosphere in Nagaland because of hills and mountain. Normally there is short of summer, shortest summer and longest like rainy season and winter season. When I'm talking about history of Nagaland, when they got independent state in 1963, there was only 3 states. Side by side, when they increased population, they got almost 12 districts in Nagaland. Population of Nagaland is almost 2 million and talking about 20 languages. Now, history of Nagaland. Nagaland is Naga tribes. So they are staying in hills and in that hills land. That's why the name of Nagaland is Nagaland because Naga tribes staying there. In 19th century, British came with East India Company there. And that time, they are just head hunting and they asking to people who is staying on north side. And the people are telling there is Naka, and the term of Naka is coming to Naga, and start to Naga and Naga tribes and Nagaland. The culture of Nagaland is very nice. They are wearing colorful clothes, wood sticks, or they are wearing different types of old and popular clothes. Regarding tourism, there is plenty hills and mountains. There is also, you can see black bear of animals. So it's very interesting. And the food is rice normally and vegetables. The economy depends on agriculture. Almost 70% people are doing agriculture business and 30% is like banking and services. Most of there is, I'm talking about festival. The festival is very popular in Nagaland because it's almost close to like Zulu people here. They are celebrating mainly two festivals. One is Hornbill and second one is Sekrini. Both festivals they are celebrating 10 days. Out of this, Hornbill is an old festival and it's come in December, 1st December to 10 December. And Sekrini festival is coming in Feb, which is also 10 days. Most interesting thing in Sekrini festival, they are giving chance to every people. Like before festival, they are going to forest, they collect wood to make fires. Then before first day of night, before first day, all young peoples going to well, they clean well. And in morning, they will take bath at there and they will bring water to house to give ladies. That festival, women can't allow to go and bring water from outside. That is a history. In second day, when they come from the taking bath, they will cut chicken and they hold chicken until die. When right leg of chicken come to left side, then they are saying it's a good thing. That culture, they are very famous in Nagaland. In Nagaland, the third day, young peoples are going to outside in forest to collect wood and different types of things to make house nice, like flowers, wood stick, like that way. On fourth day, young couples are going to forest to bring same thing, and they are making some nice bracelet, some nice clothes. They are gifted to each other. Next day, they are going to parent house. So they will meet with parents. They will stay there 2-3 days. After 2-3 days, there is rest of 2 days. After resting, they will cook something nice food like chicken, mutton, rice, and they will eat and they will enjoy that 10 days holidays. Within 10 days holidays, every day they are enjoying dancing, singing song, different cultural activities. That is Nagaland. Nagaland is a very beautiful state in India. It is a small state, but it's beautiful. That is Nagaland. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yogesh ji, for your beautiful insight remarks on Nagaland. We will now be showing a short video on the state of Nagaland. Thank you.
आज हम पूरी पृथ्वी को एक मानते हैं. इट इज द ओनली वर्ल्ड वी नो अबाउट. पर इतिहास काफी अलग है. फॉर मोस्ट ऑफ ह्यूमन हिस्ट्री, अर्थ वॉज एन एंटायर गैलेक्सी ऑफ आइसोलेटेड ह्यूमन वर्ल्ड्स. मनुष्य हमेशा से ही एक दूसरे से अलग अपनी ही बस्तियों और सभ्यताओं में रहा है. और तब हम जानते भी नहीं थे कि दुनिया के दूसरे हिस्सों में और भी लोग रहते हैं. कहते हैं कि नागालैंड में लगभग 16 अलग अलग जनजातियां हैं. ये सब कुछ चीज़ों में एक दूसरे से अलग हैं और ज़्यादातर में बिल्कुल एक दूसरे के जैसे. और इसी तरह इनके त्यौहार भी हैं. जब पूरे नागालैंड में क्रिसमस की तैयारी चल रही होती है, तब कोहिमा में मनाया जाता है द हॉर्नबिल फेस्टिवल. एंड आई वॉज इन्वाइटेड बाय कैंप जिंगारोज टू कम एंड विटनेस दिस फिनोमेनन. आज से 18 साल पहले someone thought of an event where all the different tribes of Nagaland would come together and celebrate each other's culture and traditions. You see, little things matter in life. जो बीज आज से वर्षों पहले बोया गया था, आज वो भारत के सबसे बड़े क्रॉस कल्चरल इवेंट्स में से एक है और हर साल ये और भी बड़ा होता जाता है. Now you see tourists and photographers from all parts of the world coming and getting to know a lifestyle which is different, which is very different from their own. और सिर्फ नागालैंड ही नहीं, भारत भर से आर्टिस्ट्स आकर हॉर्नबिल के सेंट्रल अरीना में परफॉर्म करते हैं. इट इज़ राइटली ऑफन कॉल्ड एज द फेस्टिवल ऑफ फेस्टिवल्स. हॉर्नबिल आकर मुझे समझ आया कि पिछले कुछ 100 वर्षों में मनुष्य एकजुट हुआ है. हम अलग अलग ज़्यादा खुश थे या एक साथ आकर, यह कहना मेरे लिए कठिन है. आई थिंक वॉट इज़ एविडेंट इज़ दैट नेचर एंड एवोल्यूशन हैव वर्क टू ब्रिंग अस ऑल टुगेदर, एंड इट इज़ नाउ अप टू अस वेदर और नॉट वी वॉन्ट टू कम क्लोजर.
Thank you. We've come to the end of today's program, but please stay tuned for the rest of the week's proceedings on the celebration of India's Heritage Week. I would like to now call upon my colleague Ms. Cheryl Banwari Lal to render this evening's vote of thanks.
Thank you, Shristi. On behalf of the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center at the Consulate General of India, Durban, I would like to express our deep gratitude and say thank you to Dr. Amit Pant. I would like to say a huge thank you to Mr. Yogesh Jadev. I would like to express our deep gratitude and say Ms. Swati Khandewa. I would like to say a huge thank you to Ms. Vijaya Kota. Thank you once again to all our guest speakers for taking time off your busy schedule to join us for today's program. I would like to say a special thank you to Dr. Chaitanya Prakash Yogi, Director of the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center, for all the guidance and the support. Thank you, sir. I would like to say a huge thank you to Ms. Kavita Solanki for that beautiful song, and Ms. Shristi Harinarayan for being our lovely MC. I would like to say a huge thank you to Mr. Piyush Khandawaya for all the technical support and making all our online programs a success. Stay home and stay safe. Thank you.